Hey, you guys, how are you? How are you? How are you? Listen, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. For those of you who are new to me, my name is Jennifer. I am your nonprofit expert, over 39 years of experience helping organizations position themselves to be fundable. What does fundable mean? Fundable means that you are able to attract funding, that you are able to show, to share, to communicate, to articulate to those that would be supporters that your organization is the right place to position their trust and their partnership with the work that you do. I want to thank those of you that are following me on my YouTube. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for engaging. And thank you for subscribing. For those of you that are joining me on my podcast, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you for downloading. And I appreciate you also for sharing. Listen, we're going to dive right into a very direct conversation. If anybody who has been following me for any period of time, you know I'm direct. You know I'm gonna say it with love, right? But I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so that you understand where you have a problem and how to solve the problem. All right? Let's talk about it. In terms of problem, most of you who say to me, Jen, my problem is funding. Jen, funding is my biggest issue. Finding donors is my biggest issue. Those are problems that you believe that you really have. Now, not that you don't need funding and not that you don't need board members, but I really want to share with you what the real problem is. Funding is not your problem. You have a structure problem. You have a structure problem. Okay. The cost of building a program before building an organization is why you have a funding problem. I'm going to say that again for the people in the bushes. You right now are experiencing the cost, the penalty, the repercussions, the result of building a program before building an organization. Now, some of you may be listening to me and thinking to yourself, what? What? But this is the hard truth that no one else is going to say to you. And I want to be direct. Most nonprofit leaders say, we need funding, we need grants, we need donors. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is you started operating a program before you built an organization capable of sustaining it. I know there's an ouch that goes right there. There is a resounding what the what? You don't have a funding problem. You don't have a money problem. The real problem is you started operating a program before you built an organization capable of sustaining it. Let me say it this way. You built the service before the structure, right? You started the Jen, I want to help single moms. Jen, I want to feed the homeless. Jen, I want to do a tiny house. Jen, I want to do an after school program. Jen, I want to do a food pantry. Jen, I want to do a ministry. Jen, I want to whatever service you want to do. You built the service before the structure to sustain that service. That decision, often made with great intentions, is the root cause behind now we don't have enough money to operate. Burnout. Jen, I started, but we had to stop. Jen, I can't get grants. Board dysfunction. Jen, I can't find board members. Jen, I'm doing everything by myself. Jen, I can't find funding. Jen, we're not growing. Jen, I can't communicate and get our community to support our work. This is not a motivation issue. It's a sequence issue. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Let me tell you the truth. Can I tell you the truth? There are two jobs that no one warned you about. Starting a nonprofit means you took on two careers, two hats, two jobs, not one. Starting a nonprofit means you took on two jobs, two careers, two hats, not one. Okay? There is the program hat, the program job. That program job delivers the services, meets the need, serves the people, right? That program job is the one that feeds the people, houses the people, reaches out to the people, gives away the backpacks, has the food drive, right? That's the delivering the service, meeting the needs of the people, serving the people. Now, truth be told, that's your heart. That's the passion work. Jen, I started my nonprofit because this is what happened to me. Jen, I started my nonprofit because I see a void. Jen, I started my nonprofit because this isn't there. We should build this because it's not there. Jen, I started my nonprofit because I want to help the people. Nothing wrong with helping the people. But the responsibility that you took on of helping the people, right? Jen, I want to mentor. Jen, I want to do after school programs. Jen, I want to do a food pantry. Jen, I want to feed the homeless. Jen, I want to house. Jen, I want to create a transitional house. All of that is program. Delivering the services, meeting the need, serving the people. That's one hat. The second hat that you also took on, that you did not know you took on, was the organization builder. You got the program, and then you've got the organization builder. The organization's builder's job is to know how to build the governance, the finances, the systems, the tools, the resources, so that the organization can be sustainable. What does sustainable mean? That the organization is bringing in enough money to deliver the services of the program. Because if you only start doing the program part, the delivering the services, the meeting the need, the serving the people, that ain't nothing but an expense. And you thought, if I do the program, Jen, if I do the program, Jen, that's where the need is. Most of you embrace the program side. That hat, why? The need is great. Serving feels so meaningful. You feel the satisfaction of knowing that you're helping people. And the structure of the financial management, the governance, the communications, the fundraising, that feels administrative. I don't really like that part of the business, Jen. I don't like talking in front of people. I don't like being in front of the camera. I don't like being the face of the organization. I really just want to do the program, right? That's why I started the organization, Jen, because I want to touch the people. The need is so urgent. I feel good when I'm out helping people. Nothing wrong with that. However, the donors, the funders, the supporters, the contributors, those capital issuing authorities, They are not investing in services alone. Did you hear what I said? Many of you are stuck right now because you started your nonprofit organization thinking that it was only the service, the what you want to do. That's where you put your time, that's where you put your money, that's where you put your priority. Because to you, that was important to you. I want to feed Jen. I want to serve Jen. The need is so great. I just want to make a difference, Jen. You are very um altruistic. Altruistic. You just want to help. Nothing wrong with that. You want to make a difference, right? You see a need and you want to meet the need. You feel good when you know that you are impacting and serving and changing people's lives. You feel warm and fuzzy inside. But when it comes now to doing the work of building the organization, oh, I don't want to do that. No, Jim, we don't have a budget. No, Jen, we don't have our financials. No, Jen, we don't have a fundraising plan. Jen, I have social media, but I haven't done anything with it. I haven't done anything with it. Jen, I don't even know how to get a board. I don't know how to, I don't know how to, I don't know how to interview a board. I mean, I got my brother, my brother, my dog, my cat, my fish, but they're not helping me. So you started the nonprofit thinking that the service of what you want to do alone was going to get you a grant. Why? Because somebody said, start a nonprofit, you can get a grant. You know what? If you start a nonprofit, you can get a grant. You can get a grant to do that program. And so you invest in the program. You're paying for the program out of your pocket, right? All the money that's coming into the organization is going to that program, the service. But I want you to know the truth. Those capital issuing authorities, the grant funder, the sponsor, the major donor, the partner, the collaborator, they're not investing, they're not donating to, they're not giving their money to your services alone, to your program, to your passion for the program. They invest, they donate to, they trust the organizations that are capable of delivering services responsibly, consistently, and sustainably. Listen, you didn't fail because you're not capable. You're not struggling because you're not passionate. You just happen to fall into the most common startup trap in the entire nonprofit sector. 90% of organizations out of 100, 90 fall into this very common trap. So I don't want you to feel alone. I don't want you to feel any kind of way. It's very common. Okay. And I want to talk to you about how this mistake happens. How does this happen? Here's the typical path, right? This is the typical path that most people take. Okay. This is the typical path. You see a need, you start helping. Money starts flowing in and out, right? You host an event, you start a program, you gain some visibility, and then you apply for grants. And then suddenly, the grant funder asks, the major donor asks, where's your budget? Who's on your board? How do you track outcomes? Do you have a plan for sustainability? What happens after our funding ends? Have y'all been asked that question when y'all went out there and applied for that grant? Don't they ask you what your budget is? Don't they ask you what your outcomes are? How do you evaluate your program? right? Who else in the community supports this organ? Where is funding pledged from other places? And you think, why are they making this so complicated? Because they're not funding your passion. They're funding your risk. And from their point of view, you built the house starting with the roof. You built the house starting with the roof. Many of you are facing some very real pain points. And these pain points are symptoms. They're not your problem. Did you hear what I said? The pain points that you are facing right now are symptoms. They are not the problem. Let's connect some dots. Y'all ready to connect some dots? Let's connect some dots. One of the symptoms that many of you have is we can't get grants. That's not a problem. That's a symptom. We can't get grants. Why can't you get grants? Because the grant funder, the capital issuing authority, they don't see an infrastructure. You're a high risk. And so they decline you. What makes you a high risk? No, Jen, we don't have a budget. No, Jen, we don't have a financial structure. No, Jen, we don't have I'm the only donor, I'm the only funder, Jen. We don't have any other donations. You see how that's a symptom and not a problem? A symptom of not having the right structure. And because you don't have the right structure, they look at you as a high risk. No, we don't have board members, Jen. I'm doing everything by myself. No, Jen, we don't have any other streams of revenue. Jen, no, we don't have financials. We don't have a fundraising plan, Jen. We don't know how we're going to sustain this organization. That's why you can't get the grant, because you don't have an infrastructure. The mere fact that you can't get grants, that's not a problem. That's a symptom. Let me tell you another symptom. Jen, we don't ever have any money. Jen, we need funding. Funding is our biggest issue, Jen. Funding is our biggest issue. We can't find donors. We can't find funders. That's not a problem. That's a symptom. That's a symptom. Because there is no fundraising system. That's why you're broke. You don't know how to raise the money. That's why you're broke. You don't know where to begin. That's why you broke. You don't even have a budget to know what to ask for. That's why you broke. You're only doing events, periodic and episodic fundraisers. You're the only person. Maybe your board's kicking in $100 a month. There is no fundraising system, which means what? Only one-off funds coming in or emergency giving. That's why you always broke. That's a symptom. That's not a problem. That's a symptom. A symptom of we did not put our structure together to raise money. Let me give you another one. Can y'all take another one? Here's another one. Jen, I do everything. I do everything, Jen. I don't have any help. I do everything by myself. I'm running the program. I'm running the board. I'm trying to learn how to do grant writing. I'm trying to learn how to do fundraising. I got to try to do the social media. Jen, I'm doing everything by myself. That is not a problem. That is a symptom. Because you became the entire organization system within one person. You can't even delegate to anyone else. It's all in your head. You're doing everything. You got people around the board, but they don't know how to help you because you don't know how to equip them. You don't know how to develop them. You don't know how to explain to them. And so instead of building a system where you can delegate, where you can measure effect, where you can create benchmarks, where you don't have to do everything by yourself. Now you got to do everything by yourself. That's not a problem. That is a symptom. And your donors and your funders are looking at you thinking, well, man, if anything happens to you, this whole organization is gone. Another one could be, Jen, we have a board, but our board doesn't help. Our board doesn't help, Jen. That's not a problem. That's a symptom. That's a symptom. That's a symptom that says likely you recruited emotionally. Jen, I put my mother, I put my brother, my dog, my cat, my fish. I put my husband, I put my boyfriend, I put my best friend on the board. No, Jen, they don't know how to be board members. I don't even know the roles and responsibilities of the board. I just needed help. I just needed help, Jen. So I put these people on the board because I thought they would help me. Now, what has helped me? I don't know. So now you're not trained. They're not trained. So now they can't help you. That's not a problem. That's a symptom. That's not a problem. That's a symptom. A symptom of, I don't know the roles and responsibilities of the board. I don't even know how to recruit board members properly. I didn't know how to interview them. I got them on my board and now they're not able to help me. And I'm thinking, well, how did they get on your board and they're not able to help you? Crickets. Crickets. Well, Jen, I didn't know what to look for. I mean, I was trying to find people who were well connected. I was trying to find people, Jen, who could make introduction, but introduce what? That you need money? You weren't trained. They aren't trained. You don't know your role within the organization, and neither do they. That is a symptom of lack of knowledge and lack of structure. But you got that program going, right? Here's another one. Jen, we don't know where money goes. No, we don't have a budget. No, we don't have financials. No, we don't have consistent money. I mean, we have a bank account, but I'm paying for everything out of my pocket, Jen. I mean, I have it written down in a spreadsheet somewhere, but I can't tell you how much it costs. I can't tell you. We don't know where the money goes because there were no accounting systems that were never built before spending began. Y'all began spending money. Y'all began spending money. Y'all began spending money on that program. Y'all began spending money. Y'all began spending money. You paid the state, you paid the IRS, you paid for that website, you paid for that program. You started spending money on the program, and you did not spend any money on how do I set up the organization to sustain the program. So you never set up any financial system, accounting system before you began spending money. Now you're desperate, right? Now you're desperate for money. Jen, we don't have any money. We need money. We need money. We need money. Well, like, at what point did you realize you needed money? Oh, after you got tired of spending your own money. Or Jen, we started, but then we had to stop. We had to stop, Jen. I just couldn't carry it by myself anymore. I just couldn't carry it by myself anymore. We were doing the 990 postcard, but we just couldn't keep it going. We didn't have any money. So you began spending money before you learned how to bring in money. That's not a problem. That's a symptom. That's a symptom of We started our program without structuring the organization to sustain it. Now you say you got a problem of we can't grow. We can't grow, Jen. We've been doing the same program and we've been trying to grow, but we just don't have the money to grow. We just can't grow. That's not a problem. That's a symptom. Because your program, right, is growing faster than your structure. The cost of your program is increasing. But your structure, your organization structure, the systems, the strategies, the processes of bringing in the money is not keeping up with the fastness of your program growing. But now your structure, your inability to bring in the money so that you can scale has limited your growth. We can't grow, Jen. Why? Because we don't have enough money. Money's not the problem. Structure is the problem. No, we don't have a fundraising plan. No, we don't have anybody that knows how to fundraise. No, we don't know how or where to begin. So, organizationally, your lack of structure has put a lid on your growth because now you paying for everything. Your organization is not struggling because the mission is weak. It's struggling because the organizational foundation, your structure, was skipped. That's why you got funding problems. Money is not your problem. Structure is your problem. Lack of structure is your problem. And these things that you say that you need all direct back to structure. Everything that your problem is, Jen, we don't have any funding. Jen, we don't have a board. Jen, I'm paying for everything out of my pocket. Jen, I can't get a grant. Jen, we just feel like we're the biggest secret in our community. Jen, I'm doing everything by myself. That's not a problem. That is a system of I put together the program, but I did not put together the organizational structure to generate the money to support this program. I didn't put that together. I didn't put that together. I did the paperwork. I filled out the 1023 form, Jen. I got my 1023. I got my 501c3. I got my website. I got my EIN. All that's paper, by the way. I got my EIN. I got a board that's not helping me. But then you say, I got everything. No, you don't. You got paper. You got a piece of paper that says you're a 501c3. But the 501c3 is a code. What is the code, Jen? A 501c3 is a revenue code. The 501c3 says your organization is now permitted to bring in the money to carry out the program mission. But you didn't set up the organization. You filled out a piece of paper, but you didn't set up the organization. And because you did not set up the organization, now you got all these things that you call a problem, but it's really a symptom. It all points back to what you skipped. Every single thing that you say is a problem is led right back to what you skipped. I didn't put the organization together. I didn't know there was supposed to be an organization put together. I thought my organization was my program, Jen. I thought it was the same thing. I thought my 501c3 and having the piece of paper was going to get me a grant. I thought all I had to do was file my 501c3 and I could get funding. But what they did not tell you is that that piece of paper says that you know where money comes in. So the grant funder is looking to you saying, well, tell me where money comes from. And you're like, we don't have any money. But that's what the paperwork says. So when you say, I didn't know that, that says to me, you didn't know about the organization. You don't know how to set up the organization. And that's the problem. The problem is, I didn't know how to set up the organization. Now, I knew how to set up the program. That's one job. But I didn't know how to set up that other job, Jen. I didn't know how to set up that other hat. I knew how to set up the program hat, but I didn't know how to set up the organization hat. The administrative entity hat, the hat that brings in the funding to support that program hat. Because that program hat doesn't bring in any money. It just spends the money. Let me say this. For those of you that are passionate, right? You started your nonprofit organization from a place of passion. And nothing that I'm saying is anything other than the truth. And the also what the truth is, you didn't know, right? Nobody told you. Nobody told you. And those of you that have relied on, you rocking with Cousin Chat and you over there on YouTube University looking up bits and pieces, Google Nation and you over there in them Facebook groups and you're getting little bits and pieces. You're gleaning a little bit at a time and you're trying to smash it all together, right? But remember, you are starting to build a house with the roof first. So you've not laid the foundation of the organization that is designed, that is intended to hold up the house. You didn't put that together. You started at the roof. Jen, this is our program. Jen, this is what we do. Jen, this is the service that we do. Jen, this is why it's important. Jen, this is the need that we meet. We need a grant. But the grant funder is saying, I need to know more about this house. Like what's holding up this roof? Nothing. Your passion to help is how you started. Passion helped you start, but only the structure is going to help you to survive. You can't skip that. There's no way around that. Passion is not going to fill that void. Structure is. That's it. What's the structure, Jen? What's the structure, Jen? The mere fact that you don't know what the structure is says you don't know what the structure is. Every nonprofit is structured to generate the money to operate. Nonprofit, every nonprofit is structured to bring in the money to operate. The IRS said so. So for those of you that started with passion, only structure is going to help you to survive. Because the donors, the funders, the supporters, the contributors, those capital issuing authorities, they're asking, can you manage the money? Is there oversight? Is there sustainability? Where else does money come from? What's your budget? What's your financials? That's all structure language. That's not program or service language. That's not program language of why you started and what your passion is and what happened to you. No, that's structure language. And if they cannot see that your organization can manage itself, you are a risk. That's where the money goes. The money goes to the organization, not your passion, not the program, not why you started, not what's important to you, not how you want to help. No, the money goes to the organization, the second hat. They don't ask, does this nonprofit leader really care? That's not what they're asking. They're not asking if you care. The truth is this: caring without systems, without the structure to support and carry the work, leads to what? Exhaustion, instability, discouragement. You started and then had to stop, right? Isolation, fear. And this is why so many nonprofit organizations close their doors, stop doing the program. Why? It's not because of lack of heart, it's lack of infrastructure. No, we didn't put that together, Jen. No, I don't know how to run the organization so that it can generate the funds. I don't know how to fundraise, Jen. No, I don't have a plan for sustainability. No, Jen, I don't know how to onboard or train my board so that they can help me. No, Jen, I'm doing everything. I don't even know how to delegate. I'm doing all the jobs, Jen, and I'm not even getting paid. You know what that means? That means you will never be able to scale. You are always going to have to do everything, and that's going to keep your organization at risk. What should have been built first? Before expanding your program, the organization needed, before you started that program, and this is what nobody tells you now, but this is what you're living. This is why you got a problem because nobody told you this, right? And for those of you that didn't ask anybody, you just went straight over there to Google. You went straight over there to Cousin Chat. What should I do? How should I start a nonprofit, right? You skipped all over the people that could train you, or you went and got you a grant writing class because you thought that the grant was going to fund my passion, right? You thought that a grant funder was going to give you a grant, give you money because you filled out and got your 1023 form filled out because you got your 501c3. You thought that was the nonprofit. I got my 501c3, Jan. That's everything. You thought the 501c3 was the nonprofit. The 501c3 is a revenue code. It is not the nonprofit. It is a revenue code. And now that's why you have all the problems you got. Because you thought the 501c3 was the nonprofit. No, it's a revenue code. What's a revenue code, Jen? It's a code that says you can bring in money that's exempt of taxes. If you didn't know that, then I know you didn't know how to structure this thing. Now, I'm just keeping a buck. I'm just telling you the truth, right? I believe I'm the only one that's going to tell you the truth. And because you got your 501c3 and you don't even know what it is, now you started a program that you're paying for out of your pocket. Now you don't have a board. You don't have a governance structure. You don't have financial management systems. You don't have any fundraising strategies. You don't have any reporting systems. You don't have any communications. You don't have a sustainability plan. And that's just the skeleton. And those things are designed to work together to generate the money for the organization. That's what the 501c3 is tied to. The 501c3 is tied to your organization, not that program. The organization is designed to bring in the money to cover the program. But you thought that 501c3 was tied to the program. And that's not true because the program doesn't bring in revenue, the organization does. This is the good news. This is the good news. Okay. I just had to get the truth out the way. Okay. Let me tell you the good news. You're not stuck. You're not stuck. You're not stuck. But you cannot solve your symptoms by applying for more grants, by adding more programs, by hosting more events or fundraisers. That's not going to solve your problem. Changing your board, changing your mission, starting and stopping. Those actually increase the strain on your weak house. The solution And the only solution is to build the organization behind the program. Now, for those of you that have an anointing to think that you can outthink or outcraft the way it's supposed to be structured, I'm just going to tell you that can't happen. The only solution is to build the organization, all of the organization, not just your board, but also your fundraising strategies, your communication systems, your donor acquisition, donor cultivation systems. These are all designed to work together to bring in money so that that program has it. You skip a step, you skipped a step, right? And the symptom that you skipped a step is going to show up. It's going to show up, right? And so when your structure, your organizational structure is strengthened, your risk drops, your trust rises, and funding becomes possible. And honestly, your leadership pressure decreases. Listen, now you know the truth that most nonprofit leaders never hear, right? You think it's a grant problem. You think it's a board problem. You think it's a funding problem. No, those are symptoms. Those are symptoms. Your pain is structural. It's not money. It's your structure. The good news is that you don't need to hustle more. You just need a framework. You need the structure. And if you're ready to stop striving and, trying to figure it out on your own and start building a fundable, sustainable organization, that's the work that I do every day. For those of you guys who follow me, I don't talk about theory. I'm not a girl into theory, right? This is not theory. I deal with structure. I deal with systems. I deal with the sequence of doing the work. This has been my job, my career for 39 years. If it's not built right from the ground up, then when you get up, it ain't going to stay up. You'll start and then you'll have to stop. You'll start and then run out of gas and run out of money. Why? Because you didn't build it right. You didn't. And many of you relied only on yourself. You've never worked in a nonprofit. You never led a nonprofit. You've never set foot behind the doors of that program that you see. I'm just keeping it real. Some people can't stand to hear me talk because you ain't talking about me. You stepping on my toes, honey. I love you enough to tell you the truth. I love you enough to tell you the truth that you don't have a money problem. Everything that you're going through, every single thing that you're going through is because you did not set up that organization properly. Everything you're facing is because of structure. Everything. So I'm going to leave you with this. You're not stuck. You don't have to stay stuck. And when you're ready to build the organization that supports your mission instead of draining you, then let's have a conversation. Because nonprofits don't fail from lack of passion. They fail from lack of structure. That's why they fail. They don't fail because of lack of money. They fail because of lack of structure. All right? Now, I've done my work here. I hope that I've given you the clear resounding truth. And you can do with that whatever you will. My conscience is clear. I can go back and say, Lord, I told them they want to stay in the wilderness, but it is doable. It is fixable. You just have to make a decision. Do I want my organization to work? Do I want the funders, the donors, the supporters, the contributors to see that our organization can be trusted with their investment? Because they're not getting on your passion bandwagon. I don't care how much passion you talk about. I don't care how you talk about what happened to you because of what happened to you. This is why you start. They're not giving because of passion. They're measuring organizational risk. And that's it. All right? Listen, I hope you hear my heart. My heart is I want you to win. I want you to know what it takes to win. And I want you to know how to do what will help you to win. The rest is in your lane. Okay? If you want to have a real conversation and say, Jen, I'm really ready to put my organization together, you're talking to me. All them things that I called a problem are really a symptom. They are a symptom that I did not put the organization together. I didn't know how. No one told me. No one showed me. I've been guessing and winging this thing all this time. You're talking to me. Then let's have a conversation. All right? Reach out to me and say, Jen, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to have that conversation because I want my organization to have what it needs so that we can serve and meet the real needs in the community. Without the organizational structure, you will never have enough revenue or money to do that. You won't. You won't be able to scale. You won't be able to hire a team. You won't be able to get a salary. You won't be able to do the work that is so important. And I don't want that for you. And I don't want that for your community. Because our missions matter. Not just your passion, but the impact of your community matters. But that only comes after structure. Funding doesn't come first. Structure comes first. All right? Reach out if you're ready. My name is Jennifer. I am your nonprofit expert. 39 years of doing this work. And I want to help those of you that are ready to put your organization together so that it too can be designed to bring in the funding that your organization needs to complete the work in a real way. All right? Thank you for listening. I'll see you all next time.